Okay. Um, okay. Let's draw. Yeah. Okay. Uh, let's see. Sure. Okay, so the main idea here is to have let me just have that in text right here. So we have our social media app, right? And you want to have a couple of features on there, right? So one of them being the fact that we want to have let's say the platforms that we want to have on it are Facebook, let's see, we want to have Twitter, and then if we can add LinkedIn, right? And the main idea is being able to kind of have a single place that you can send the message to all these platforms, because sometimes you have a certain message that you kind of want to share on your social media platforms. So for instance, you want to share on Facebook, you want to share on Twitter, you want to share on LinkedIn, but you probably have to perhaps copy and then paste in the various environments, or you have to, yeah, probably. I'm not sure. Perhaps this is, perhaps there is an application to kind of do that, right? Or you can peer. I know that there are some people that also have their own, like, kind of internal application that they've built that they kind of use to do that. So the intention here is to have a social media app that basically can allow you to send messages to all three platforms, right? So yeah, that is the main idea. So the main idea is to kind of send messages, right, to all the social media platforms, right? So you can just from that place kind of send a message and then say, okay, I want this message to only go to my Twitter account. I want this message to go to both my Twitter and my Facebook account. I want this message to go to my Twitter, my Facebook, and then my LinkedIn account, right? So kind of setting up an application to basically do that, right? And if we look at what we are trying to build, yeah, if you look at what we are trying to build, let me kind of yeah, and put that to the left here. If you look at what, oh, let me get an object. Yeah. Okay. So let me get this. Let me get this right here. Right. So let's say that this right here is a server, right? And we're gonna maybe a server, and then in the end we are kind of communicating the result to the user, right? So we also have our user right here, right? And so we need to kind of bridge a gap, of course, right, between our server and then our user, right? And we can also say that we have some sort of authentication in place here, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to have social media authentication, right? So when we get there, we're going to discuss which kind of platform you're going to use, because there are many platforms to choose from, right? So on the server, right, of course, there's going to be authentication, right? And that authentication is kind of sort of sitting between the server and then the user, right? And one thing is how this application is, we just don't want to build something static. Of course, it's going to be dynamic, right? So the app right here, So we're gonna have some sort of so we need some dynamic, right? So we need some sort of a dynamic page, right? So our pages need to be dynamic, right? Perhaps maybe we can say that the home page, that we can try to make it a bit more static, because the home page is just going to be the login or sign up page, right? So the home page can be static, right? We can have a static home page, of course. Yeah. And then let's see. So let's just see also the pages that we are going to have. No. Undo. So let's just see. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple of pages, right? And then for our pages, we're going to have let's say the home page, but our home page is going to be like a sign in, or sign up, kind of both, right? So sign in, sign up is going to be on our homepage where someone can sign up, and we're going to use providers. We're going to use off providers. So we're going to use off providers, and we is going to be, of course, those is going to be those social profiles that we are going to enable, right? So initially it's going to be Facebook and Twitter. Those are going to be the main ones before we see if we can add LinkedIn, right? So that's what we're going to have on the homepage, right? And then, of course, we need some sort of a dashboard, right? And we will see if we can add some metrics. We can get some metrics from the user's social media application, right? Some metrics including, let's say, the number of followers they have, how the engagement on their feeds, right? So the post that they've sent so far, the engagement on it, right? So we will see on each kind of developer platform that's the various social media services have, what options they make available, right, to us, and then we'll build some sort of a metrics based on that, right? And the next thing we'll have is, of course, the add new message page, right? A page to add a new message, and I think that should be all. Yeah, we aren't really doing a lot. We don't really have kind of a lot of them that we kind of want to do, right? So yeah, this is basically what we are going to build, right? So for starters, right, we are going to create a GitHub repository that we are going to save that code in, right? So let me just terminal, and then let me cd into github.com cd. Let me see. I have changed my GitHub username. So what I'm going to do is move this to my new GitHub username. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is how I kind of structure projects in my local machine, right? So I kind of have github.com/my username, and I kind of put the projects there, right? And so what we're going to do is going to create a repo. So if you don't have GH is just a CLI tool for managing GitHub repositories, right? You can use it to manage your repositories, GH, right? So it's a GitHub tool, so you can search for that. Okay, so we're gonna say GH repo create, and we're gonna call this I really haven't thought of any kind of proper name. Let's see. I'm just thinking of this. All social. Yeah, and we want to make it a public one. Yeah, so we've created that repository. So we can let's just gh repo clone or social. Let's just clone it locally. Yeah, okay. Then we cd into all social, right? And then let's open that with VS Code. Okay, I only have code inside this here. Okay. I want to have a dead desk here. Yeah. Okay, sure. Ouch. Okay, so I kind of lost the stream for a second there. Let me see. Yeah. So stream should be still active. If it's not, then I'll be damned later on. Right. Okay. Let me see. Git mode dash v. Yeah. Okay. So it's already added. Right. And so I think the first thing to do probably is to think of what kind of framework are we going to choose to build the application, right? Now, I really love Next.js. Right. But it's just that Next 13 at the moment, still, of course, they do actually also stay here that do use the pages, right? Because there are still some features that are still being worked on, right? Let me see what I would want to check on. And there are still a couple of features which really aren't production ready. Like for instance, for that's this for Next 13, of course. Next.js version 12 is good to go. For instance, the head, right? So this particular client side routing here, the head is still not ready, and things like data mutation. Let me see. Last time I checked, they said mutation is still being worked on, right? Next.js is working on a new RFC for data mutation. So data mutation is also something else that is not worked on. So because the thing is that we will have a lot of interactiveness in the UI, and myself, the interactive library I like to use is React, right? And so of course React is going to be wherever I build any sort of application, right? There are times that maybe I might use different ones, like maybe use something like Laravel, right? But in this case, we have more interactiveness in the UI, so I kind of want to use React, right? And so, I mean, of course, we can just use React directly, right? But by using that React directly, of course, we is good, but there are a lot of things that you have to kind of figure out, right? Like using some sort of a routing library like React Router, setting up React Router, and whether you are going to use Create React App, whether you are going to use Vite, right? Whichever you are going to use, there's just so many kind of questions along the way, and it's like, you know, it's not really suitable, right? So what I like to do, excuse me, what I would like to do is to use a framework called Remix, right? I want to see if I can still use Astro. Let's see Astro.build, right? Astro is actually a very good framework, right? I have built my website with Astro, right? So if you go to discoverlands.com, I built that with Astro, right? I built that with Astro. At the moment, there's not much content there, just some 2 articles. That is all on TypeScript. But Astro is very good, and one thing is that with the use of our component islands, right, we can basically ship applications that are faster. And then what happens then is we only use JavaScript where and only when it's needed, right? Because if we are shipping, let's say Next.js, right, there's about 13 kilobyte by default that comes, and you probably will ship your whole application, right? When you're shipping Next.js, right, the bundle size can be huge, right? And of course, it's React, and so the page has to first load, and then kind of there will be a hydration process so that the interactive parts will now start working, right? Remix is also very good, right? Remix is also a very good framework because as I said, when you take something like Next.js to build an application, right, then probably if you have a lot of static pages, then it will help you, right? Because Next.js also, even if the page has not kind of been hydrated just yet, right? If you have a lot of static pages, what can happen then is that you can if you have a lot of static pages, what can happen then is then you can easily get the what's the name? During the build time, right? During the time that you are building the application, right? You can easily get the HTML for most of the pages, right? Because you have most of it being static. But with something like Remix, right? Even though Next.js also supports server-side rendering, right? You still have to ship JavaScript, right? You still have to ship the React and most of it in the UI to kind of add it more interactive, right? But Remix does a lot of that elimination, right? And it helps you to basically load a lot of the stuff on the server and then kind of throw everything to the client, right? And Remix has proven to be much more faster than Next.js when it comes to server-side rendering, right? So if you look at their blog and you look at Remix versus Next.js comparison, right? So it's a or server side, right? I'm not sure where that is. I'm not sure, but if you do go through, you will see some kinds of advantages here that Remix does have over Next.js. Even if you are using guest server side, even if you are using server side rendering with Next.js, which basically allows you to kind of get the HTML for your page on the server before the response is returned to the user, right? So with static pages, the user just visits, let's say, your home page, and then let's say the index.html is what is shown to the user. That is very quick, right? But with server-side rendering, you might have some logic that you want to run on the server. You don't want to expose it to the client, right? You want to run logic on the server, like let's say connect your database, right? You don't want to connect your database from the browser. You want to do it on the server. So you can do those things on the server and then kind of bring the results into the HTML, right? So that in the end, by the time the user clicks on that particular link, and then the user, by the time the user that page loads for the user to see HTML, then the data that is supposed to, or the function that is supposed to run on the server has already run, right? Because with server-side rendering, you can run certain code like fetching data from the database and things like that on the server, and then there you kind of bring the response to the user, so the user will not see what is happening on the server, right? Unlike mostly on the client, that's when you are loading data on the client, that maybe you have to show some sort of a spinner, right, and then show the data to the user. What you do probably with server-side rendering is the React, or the React code, the JSX, together with any data that you want to show in the React code, is kind of rendered on the server, and then the response kind of put into the browser, right? So sometimes, I mean, of course, sometimes with server-side rendering, sometimes it can be slow. It depends on your logic, because if you are carrying out an operation that takes a minute for it to load on the server, then of course that's not probably the best use of it, right? Because the user has to, when the user clicks on the link, imagine if they have to wait for that 1 minute for the logic to run, right? So you have other means, of course, that you can do that, right? But Remix, of course, is one of the very good, or one of the best, how should I say, next, I said next, one of the best React frameworks out there when it comes to server-side rendering. It has a lot of massive features that you can take advantage of, right? So I'm just looking at it here, whether to go with Remix or to go with Astro, right? Because Astro approaches it differently. With Remix, everything is kind of server rendered, right? Everything is server rendered, right? So it kind of the HTML is generated on the server and then it's returned to the user, right? It's a server-side generation, right? So the HTML is basically generated on the server and returned to the user. But then Astro allows you to kind of make a choice, right? Which pages do you want to be static? Which pages do you want to be server-side rendered? Which pages do you even want to ship almost zero JavaScript, right? Right. So you have the concept of a component island, which basically says, so if you look at my site, for instance, this page like this, right? There should be, let me check. There should be no script that is downloaded. There should be no script at all. This is just going to be pure HTML, right? There are some scripts, but I think those probably are for preloading some pages, because I preload some pages, right? Yeah, I preload some pages. I prefetch some pages, so it's probably for that. Fetch this page and this page. So it's probably for that. But by default, as you can see here, it ships with no JS at all, right? Remix can also work with no JavaScript, right? With JavaScript disabled, Remix can also work perfectly, right? So it's kind of because what we are trying to do, homepage, of course, because almost everything is going to be server-side rendered, right? But then our authentication is probably not going to be server-side or rendered, right? I'm trying to think of it and see something here. Yeah, we have perfect server-side rendering with yeah, you can host on these options. Mm. Yeah, okay, just a minute. can continue. Okay. Um, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go with Remix, right? Because of the server side rendering feature in Remix, and then also a lot of features in Remix that I'm going to, whilst I go on with the project, you are going to get to see. And I think that there's not much to say in that, because if I say I'm going to explain, then it is going to be something on Remix. It's going to be rather a session on explaining Remix instead of the actual session, right? So I'm going to go with Remix, and then as I use some of the features, you get to understand and know why we're going with Remix, right? Um, let's see here. Okay. So I just want to check out the how to create a new Remix app. Now Remix have what we call Remix stacks. So Remix stacks are basically kind of best practices that you can use with Remix, and it's kind of being compiled. Right, so a couple of best practices that you can use with Remix, and Remix has kind of put it together. But to make it simple, right, instead of starting from a Remix stack, because if you start from a Remix stack, we will have things like authentication and other stuff set up already, right? Which we really don't want to delve there just yet. We just want to build our homepage. And if we have all of those stuff in there, it might be a bit confusing, right? So what we will do rather is we'll go on, and when we get there and we need things like authentication, then we will come over here. We can look at the BlueStacks and then browse through it and see how kind of authentication is done there, and then just get that code to our side. Yeah, so we just go with the D4 Remix application, a normal Remix application, right? So let's see. That's npx create dash remix at latest, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use yarn instead. Yarn create dash remix at latest. I think the last time I used this, did it work at all? Couldn't find the package.json. Ah, okay. No. That's not how we do it with yarn. Yeah. Yarn create, yeah. Remix, yeah. Yarn create remix. Yarn create remix, yeah. So we are just going to kind of set up the project, and then set up our CSS and so on. Then we will later on, perhaps tomorrow, I'll see if I can schedule the next event tomorrow, and then we can continue with the other processes that we need to. Let me see if dot slash will work. Create a new project. Okay. So dot slash new. Let's just say that. Just the basics. Where do we want it to be? Right? I want to use an Express server. Yeah, want to use an Express server. And when I use TypeScript, yes, we want to run yarn install. Right. So after it's done, I'm just going to kind of copy everything into, yeah. Let me see something. I want to see cd new, yeah, ls dash a. Okay, I thought there was a dot get. Yeah, I thought there was get initialized. Yeah, it's not. Okay, let's wait just a bit for that to be done. So that is going to be the React framework that we are going to use for the application. Now for our styling, we are going to use Tailwind CSS. we're going to use Tailwind CSS. If you not use Tailwind, you will love it as we use it today, right? And because let me see. Of course, I think we can build. We can. Hmm. Yeah, we can. We can. We can. We can. We can. I'm just trying to see. Mantine UI. Okay. Oh, okay. It's not, the page is not reactive yet. Pity my simplicity. Ouch. JavaScript pages. See, a page is still not active. Still loading some of the bundles. Probably. Gatsby. Forms. We'll think about that later. We think about this later on. Yeah, we'll think about the rest later on when we need to use it. So this is still not done. Pity my simplicity. So for me to come to thee, gentle Jesus, make a mouth. No, yeah, it's not this. Forgotten. Determined component like pity my simplicity. Desire for me to come to thee. Right. So what I'm guessing right now is either we build the whole project with Tailwind CSS, right, from scratch, right? So we write our own Tailwind classes for everything and components, or we use a Tailwind component library. So in this case, then we don't have to focus on doing things like building our own buttons, our own navbar, our own menus, right? We can just let Tailwind take care of all of that. Let a material UI take care of all of that, and then take advantage of the options that it provides us, right? Instead of us having to build our own our own UI library. So It's kind of like that. That is what I'm kind of thinking of now. Nav list. Okay, so that's the nav list, and then okay. And then on the mobile nav list. Yeah, and so it's still not done. Wow. So that can also be something. I mean, of course, whether you want to use something like this, which already has a couple of items that we can just like button is already there. Of course, menu is also already there, right? Or we would have to create these ourselves, right? But we won't have much let me say menu options, right? We won't have so many menu options that we will start to think that we need to do things differently, right? Or we need to use some sort of a component library because I mean it's not as if our navigation is going to be filled with a lot. Probably it's going to be just your logout button. Let's see, your logout button, yeah. Some logo, right? Some sort of a logo, your logout button, and then also the dashboard, and then new message. That is it, right? So logout, dashboard, new message. That is okay at the top. We don't have too many things over there, and I don't want to worry about too many things there. Yeah. Whereas this, of course, I'm sure it should provide you with something like even mobile nav, right? Because this is already built. You don't have to build it ourselves. That's one thing that kind of these um these frameworks also make simple because they have done certain things already and we just need to kind of implement it and then that's all, right? But hmm. Pity my simplicity, suffer me to come to thee. Does this really make our job much simpler? We have a card, and we can just use the card. Yeah, sure. I'm beginning to change my mind that we should just use something like this. But I normally don't build with this UI library, but because we kind of want to make this a bit more faster in a way, kind of. Oh my goodness, I'm not done. Wow, is this slow internet from my side or just because this is taking too much time? Yeah. Um. Still wondering. And we already have an alert, so we kind of don't have to implement an alert ourselves. Alert icon, alert dismissible. Um, Show equal to some sort of a show and then animate, do some sort of animation. Yeah, we can have an avatar. Right, guys, there's some sort of an installation step, installation for remixes here. Yeah. Finding it difficult Oh wow. And our colors, so you can configure. I think this is the default colors, of course. Yeah, all of these come with Tailwind. So fonts, yeah. Customizing the fonts, yeah, of course. TailwindCSS.com. They have some sort of a documentation here. Okay, yeah, Tailwind, that one of fonts, yeah, that's no problem. Yeah. I'm fancying doing everything from scratch. That's what I'm fancying, right? I feel like, I mean, of course, I want to improve my Tailwind skills. So doing everything from scratch, I feel like I'll be able to practice. But then also, it's not only a matter of being able to practice yourself, but it's a matter of being quick enough with whatever you are given. So, of course, material Tailwind is going to make it a bit more quicker instead of having to kind of step in and do everything, right? Um, wow. This side is gonna be strange. Mhm, mhm. Da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun, dun, da-da-dun, dun, dun. Mhm, 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 mhm. Let me see. Accordion, alert, avatar, breadcrumb, some sort of button card, a checkbox, and inputs. Yeah. Okay, that this kind of input types. The standard one, some sort of static one I outlined. Yeah, medium, and then some sort of a large input. Colors, input as purple, input this. Do, 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 do. Okay, so it's done. Yeah. So we're gonna go with from scratch. Yeah, sure. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to get all of the stuff from the directory into like kind of the main one. So so let me just do that quickly. Yeah. Just cut that and then put everything here so that I can now remove this folder. Yeah. We no longer need that. So let's look at let's first add Tailwind, right? Then we will see the way forward, right? So let's see the documentation, frameworks guide. Oh, there's no Astro guide, lol. But I think Astro themselves have a guide for it. Okay, so where is remix? Okay, right. So we need these. We need these. Yeah. So yarn. This is where I wanted this to kind of add dash dev because now I have to do everything. Let me kind of commit what we have here. Yeah. and then say features to add new project, right? New, let's say add new remix project. Wow, today might be a long day. I'm not sure, probably I'm having a slow internet. I just want us to set up the environment, then we'll see tomorrow. I will continue at the same time. Yeah. Hmm. Okay, so it's almost over. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is npx tailwind css init, right? Okay, and that'll create the tailwind configuration, of course. So we have the tailwind configuration. Now we need to specify where our content is, right? And we can just grab that here, right? Because for when you are using Remix, all of the content will be in your app directory, right? I know for some projects you probably have it in source, right? But for Remix, you have everything in the app directory. So we have that, and then what we'll do is we are going to change a couple of our scripts, right, to include Remix. Okay, so, to include next to include Tailwind, right? So where are the scripts? So let's see, build normally says remix build and run -p. Let me kind of get this. Let me grab all, right? Let me grab all. So just I can just look at it for a bit here. Yeah. So I can just look at it and see what is kind of missing, right? So build is to CSS and then build, yeah. So we have that. So we have the build. Now build is to CSS, basically builds the CSS, and then the dev command runs. Okay, so remix -p. So concurrently run npm. So concurrently, but if we have installed npm run all, do we really need concurrently when we still have npm run all? Right, because this allows you to run in parallel. So I'm not really sure the use of concurrently here. Just a second. Let me check Remix stacks. Blue stack. I just want to check Remix blue stack and see something. Just want to see I just want to see what are we looking at? I just want to see the package.json. Yeah, I'm just thinking, do we still need concurrently? Even though we still have, yeah, right, we can run -s, okay. And then the dev command run -p dev, okay. So we have dev build, dev CSS, and then we run -p all of them, right? So this can be, so run -p, so remix build, let me see the dev command. Run -p dev is to start, right? Dev is to build, that's okay. So let's have dev is to build. Yeah, dev is to build, dev is to CSS, dev is to remix, right? So kind of dev is to build, and then let that be remix build. Yeah. Yeah. Let's have this be that right? And then let's have dev CSS. So we also run, so because if we run dev is to star, then it's going to run yeah, then it's going to run dev this, it's going to run dev node, and then it's going to run dev remix, right? So let's remove this. So run dash x, build is to remix. Let me see. Let me have build is to remix, and then let's call that remix build, right? So that I can move this one here and then say run dash s yeah, and then say build is to star, right? Right, build star. So I think dev is to CSS needs to be here. Yeah, yeah. So if we're running build sequentially and run this and run this, right? So let's first run yarn, right? So basically, for dev, we are running in parallel. We are running remix build. So at the same time, right, kind of in parallel, we are also doing dev is to CSS, because you say dev star, so it will run all dev commands, right? And then it will also run dev node and dev remix, right? Then the build command is going to run all of the builds. So first it's going to build the CSS, and then in parallel it's going to also run sequentially. So it's going to do the build CSS, and then it's going to build also remix. So let's try yarn build. Let's see, we're having an issue. Okay, yeah. So I think we failed to complete the last step in over here, which is we need to add our Tailwind input file, right? Okay. So style slash app.css. Yeah. So styles, and then we say app.css. Right. So we kind of add these Tailwind directives, and these would allow us to be able to work with Tailwind in our project, right? So with Tailwind, if you've never used Tailwind before, basically you are able to base component, yeah, so you're basically able to use CSS classes that Tailwind has already compiled, right? So Tailwind has a couple of CSS classes and you're able to use them. This directive here basically just says add base styles. So base styles are normally if you've normally use a CSS to like normalize those CSS, right? So you probably have used normalize, and if you even used Bootstrap before, Bootstrap also has some sort of a normalize in there, and it basically helps to reset all of the CSS of the page, right? So that's what the base directive is going to do. And then the components is going to be basically Tailwind components that you add, right? You can add your own Tailwind components, right? Like you can build your own like let's say you can build a Tailwind component called button, right? And what Tailwind will do is after it inserts the base styles, it will add those styles next, right? And then the rest is Tailwind utilities. Now these Tailwind utilities are from Tailwind itself, right? You can of course extend Tailwind utilities because they provide plugins for you to be able to do that, right? Extend Tailwind utilities and add your own utilities, right? Like for instance, I mean the padding I think margin or width is up to about 96, right? There is width 96, which is around 396 pixel or so. So you can increase it and maybe have a width dash 100 and something, right? What the wind have is about up to around 96 or 97. We will be able to see it soon, right? Which is around 396 pixels or so, right? So you can be able to extend those utilities and add your own so that you can have more sizes, right? So let's now try the yarn build once more. Yeah. So that has now worked. Now it's going to create the tailwind styles, which is going to be over here, right here, right? So this is the styles that I'm referring to, tailwind style that I'm referring to, right? Let's just start yarn def. Yeah. So you can see here that when you do yarn build, right, it will basically look at the directive, tailwind directive that you have here, and whatever files it finds inside this content, right? So if there are any JS, TS, JSX file, TSS file, it's going to look for tailwind classes, and then it's going to compile that and add it here, right? And mostly they are utility classes, so of course they are going to come after base and component classes, right? So if you look here now, you should be able to see that these are all like base classes. So they are resetting the CSS, right? And yeah, if we add any classes at all, then they will kind of follow right here, right? Okay. So should that be it? Let me reset the homepage styling. Yeah, because the homepage styling is using I think it's just not, I don't think there's even any styling at all. Yeah. So let's see, just welcome to all social. Yeah. And let's have some sort of a tailwind class name, right? So let's say class name equal to, let's say text dash blue dash 500. Yeah. And then you can see, or you should be able to see that in the styles, it has now compiled it, and then now your style has been added to the style sheet, right? So the more you add kind of tailwind classes, the more they will kind of be added to the compiled style sheet, right? So you don't need to be writing this class yourself, but Tailwind has those utility classes and you just need to be using, right? So that's why I, in particular, I'm a fan of Tailwind, right? So if we go, we should now be able to see our application, right? But of course, we have not, or even though the styles are compiling, we have not attached it to our application, right? So what we can do is attach it to our application, right? And in Remix, right, in the app directory, that's where we are going to do most of our work. We will probably leave the entry.client and entry.server, right? It basically handles some initialization in order for the application to work, right? A couple of hydrations, and then also inserting a Remix browser into the HTML, but we don't need to bother about those, right? What we will probably need to bother about is the roots, right? So the roots is like where everything kind of starts from. So you can see here that there is a meta function that is exported, and this meta function basically allows you to define meta tags that you want to appear in the head. So if we kind of check here, you should be able to see those meta tags added. Can see that here. So the chart set, the title, and then the viewport, right? Okay. So what we can then do is we want links. So we have to use a different function that Tailwind allows you to add links, right, to your page. And that is called links, of course. That's the name. And we can, with the help of TypeScript, because we want it to be typed so that maybe we don't make a mistake, right? So we say links function, give it to us. And then links also returns an object. No, I don't think links returns an object. It returns an array, yeah, of objects, and each object can be the style. So we will say that this has a relationship is to style sheet, yeah, and then the href, right? So it's as if you are writing your normal style, right? So we are going to import our style from dot slash styles slash app.css, right? So import styles from, yeah, and then we can see our href is what, that styles, right? So we save, and now our tailwind style should be reflected, right? Let's see our head. Let me see. Hmm. Probably there could be that this is not working because of something I changed. Welcome. Let me just use welcome and let me see if this is changing. So it's not changing. So that means that the changes I made here, one of them probably has an issue. Yeah. So let me just check. Let me compare. Let me see. Dev running parallel. Initially, Dev was doing this, and then after that, running in parallel, right? So running in parallel this. So Remix is built, and then after that, you runs DevStar. DevStar, there was Dev Node and Dev Remix routes, right? So Dev Node and Dev Remix are still there. What I only added was Dev CSS, right? So what could be the issue? Let's run yarn build once more. Oh, what is it? Could not resolve this. Okay. Then that means probably that's not the name or something like that. Styles slash app.css. Okay. Let's see. Let's see root. Post styles from, oh, look at the name. Yeah. I made a mistake in the name. Yeah. Okay. So yarn dev once more. Yeah. Yeah. So it's now working, of course. Yeah. So you can see that the color have changed, right? But because Tailwind basically resets all of the CSS, right? Every text, whether you use H1, H2, H3, they don't have a default style. They are all basically the same size because Tailwind basically it resets all of the CSS and then it gives control to you want, right? So all of the CSS is reset at this moment, right? So I think as the final probably step for now or for today, I want us to kind of add some default styles that we want to be on the whole page, right? So here we will say all social. We change our title to all social, so it kind of appears here. All social, that's good. And it should also change here, all social. That's good. Okay. And let me see. Okay, so the first thing that you want to change is the default styles, right? The default styles. So what we want to change is something that belongs to the base of Tailwind styles, right? Because if you want to change text relating to H1, the paragraph, the body, things like that, is related to the base styles, right? So what we can do is we can basically use this directive from Tailwind and say, okay, at the layer base, we want to add the following, right? So we can now say that, okay, the body, now another Tailwind directive that says apply, because by default, of course, when you're writing CSS in your .css classes, you do something like maybe color is to blue, right? But we don't want to basically be writing color is to blue, but we want to be using Tailwind classes. So in order to use Tailwind classes, because Tailwind classes like text dash blue dash 500 class name, right? We cannot just write it as a normal CSS here. That wouldn't work, right? So what we can do is we can use another directive for Tailwind called apply, and that will allow us to write in classes, right? So what I want to do first, I want to make my text a bit bigger. By default, my text should be a bigger Excel. That's going to be too big. Wow, that how text Excel looks like. I've seen text Excel and this is very small. Okay, so then and then we're gonna have, of course, we're gonna have text dash gray. We're gonna choose maybe gray 600. That should be okay. And then we're gonna say we're gonna maintain a white background, kind of the white. Gonna maintain a white background. Yeah, this kind of for the font family. Yes, smoothing of the font family. And then I also want to set the smooth scroll to the HTML. Right there, yeah. So the scroll behavior is kind of smooth. And then also our H1, right? So our H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, we want to kind of have some default stuff. So maybe you want the font to be bold. Yeah. For all of them, we want the font to be bold. And then we want to, of course, center the text, right? For our headers. So we kind of apply some default styles for our headers. So now for our H1, we want to say, let me kind of take out this particular style right here. We want to say that I want us to choose our base. I want us to choose some base colors, right? So let's go to colors. Right, this is just a tool to kind of help you in terms of making a choice of your colors to use in your project, right? So we just go to colors and pick out some sort of a nice color. Didn't I close this? I thought so. So what I want to change, I want to change it a bit, just a bit. So home page, yeah, also show. Yeah, so that's showing. Okay, so let's see the tools of the tools, the tool that we want, the tool that I want, forgotten the name, contrast checker. Yeah, because we also want to make sure that our pages are accessible. Like, we don't have a background that the text does not look good on, right? So, we want some sort of a text there. We still want we want some sort of a color that we are mostly going to use. We still want it to be kind of base and not all over the place, right? So we're just gonna stick with a single color, right? Now the background, of course, is white, so we're gonna say FFF. Yeah, FFF. And so now it's just left with the text on top that we need to choose something. This is social media. I think because we are combining all social media platforms. I mean, Facebook logo is blue, Twitter logo is blue, LinkedIn. Can't even see this. It doesn't even look like blue. Let me see. Let me palette generator. Let me kind of see if I can generate a nice palette here. So this color looks very good. This color is very good. I want something a bit more that looks a bit more like blue, you know. Okay. So where do we check this? I've forgotten. Forget about color blindness, but I've forgotten. I want to. Oh, where do we check this? Why? Why is this advert just on top of the content like that? Wow. Ouch. I want to change the colors. Something relating to press the search bar. Wow, what's going on? Press the search bar. What search bar? I can't see any search bar there. Search bar where? Oh wow. Press the search bar. I can't also see any search bar. When I click here too, it doesn't work. Oh wow, I've really forgotten how to do this. I've really forgotten how to do this. No. Oh my. Let me explore palettes then, because I've forgotten how to kind of do that over there. I don't know. Give me something relating to blue. Yeah, something relating to blue. Let me get that and let me check it in our construct checker. Yeah, yeah, something blue. I just want one color. That is all. I want just one color. I'll go with this. Yeah, let's go with this. Okay. So let's see. Yeah. Okay. And then what I also want to do is, Tailwind has a lot of colors, but then I want to extend that color and add our own color, right? So what we can do is in our Tailwind config, we can just come to colors and then say, let's say primary, right? And then just put the hex value there so that we can say here, because we've added our color, we can say here at apply text dash primary, and that will work. And so we'll apply our primary color, right? Our primary color right there. It doesn't look really, as someone would say, different. Okay, so colors, colors extend, colors, generating your own colors. Not this, 950, no. Okay, so we can basically, I think, because when with this palette, we can basically just create our own, kind of color palette. Yeah, right. So I'm coming. Just a second here. So basically, like how we have this right here, right? So we're gonna have what we're gonna do instead. We're gonna say, in our config, we're gonna say, primary is an object, right? And then 100 is to that, right? 100 is sort of a string, 200. So 100 is this, right? Yeah. And then, so I want the light. I want, let me see. Let's go in. Let's just go in and see. I just don't want it to be too many too. Such cases still becomes a bit too much. Yeah. 300 is to hashtag. Huh. There is a problem. Okay. Then probably is from that. Let me see. Is that here? 950 is to some sort of, yeah. Colors blue. Yeah. Colors primary is to 100 is to that. So let me now see what's the problem. What problem are we getting? Test primary class does not exist. Okay. Okay. Sure. Because we've not added that. So we have added up to what? 300, 400 is to, yeah, 500 is to 400, 500, and then let's say 600, and then 700, and then 800 is to 800, and then 900. Yeah, of course. Fine. Okay. And so we can now say this is test dash primary dash, let's say 900, right? So that then should work. And then this text, let's make it primary, primary, let's say 500. I want to see something. Then let me just add lorem some and see lorem, and then I want to see how does the test look like. Okay. Let's say 600. Yeah, let's go with that. 600. It does look okay. Does look okay, but let me make sure to kind of compare the 600 color against a white background in the contrast checker to see. Yeah, it's very bad. Wow, that's what it says. That is a poor contrast, right? So let's try this. Let's try 800. 800 is very good. So yeah, of course, we are going to go with 800 as the normal text color. So here should be 800. Yeah, sure. Okay. So this particular one should apply to all fonts, right? So no need to apply only to this font, right? Okay. So let's see now. The header, we want it to have a certain how do you call it, size. So let me say 5XL. Yeah, 5XL for each one. Yeah, and then H2, H3, H4. At least we won't be using too many H's, I think. Even up to H3 is okay. Yeah, it's okay. So if this is 5, let's make this 3, and then let's make this 2. Yeah, so that kind of follows. Or let's make it 2, because my default text is a kind of Excel. I think that is a bit even too big. So let me make this Excel. My default text should be large, not Excel. Yeah, yeah, large is cool. Yeah. So these are some of the ways that kind of go by my project, right? So by using Tailwind, by adding some default styles like my headers and my paragraph and then my body, right? Some styles that I think that I will use continuously, right? And I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. Yeah. RGB. Yeah, this is what I also want to use, because currently what we have done works, but we will not be able to add opacity, right? Like doing this, right? So by default, oh, is that going to be possible? Is that going to work? I thought it's not going to work. Let me see. 900 slash opacity 10. Let me see. I thought that's not going to work. Oh, okay. So it works. I thought it's not going to work. Because Tailwind did say, let me see the compiled class. Let me see it here. Yeah. Uh-huh. Body, let's see. Okay, so is that still, no, not BG, but color. Where's color? Color, okay. So it does still use the RGB version of whatever we write. Oh wow. Then why did they add this change? Because initially you have to use something like this, right? You have to use the RGB with the alpha value so that Tailwind can now allow you to be able to do add the opacity directly to the color, right? Because this now has allowed me to add opacity to the color. So opacity of 10, right? So you can see it here. But then initially you needed to write your CSS in this way, some sort of, yeah, this way with alpha value before it works. But it seems even by writing my hex value, it still works. So yeah, that's good then. Yep, 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 yep. So I've added the default classes that I wanted, right? Right, I've added a default. Okay, let me remove that opacity. Sure, I've forgotten. Yeah, 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 sure. So let's just go ahead and do a full-on commit for all of the changes. Yeah. Add or set up Tailwind CSS. So you've set up Tailwind CSS for the projects. So the next steps that we are going to carry out will be, where is my Excalidraw? So let's see, let's scroll down a bit here. Let's come right here. Let's see. So let's see our oh no, I used the wrong thing. Yeah. Let's see our steps, right? So the first step was to kind of choose the framework, which we did, and we selected Remix. And then the next step is to kind of choose UI library, which we went with Tailwind CSS. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna also set up we're gonna set up, how should I call it, the UI, right? So doing things like we're gonna add some default structure to Remix. You're going to add some default structure to Remix, like the root error slash. Let me just write this. When we do it, you get to understand later on. To Remix, so like our catch boundary, our error boundary, and then what we're gonna do next is so this is setup Remix, not UI, right? We're gonna set up Remix, and we're gonna set up the UI, right? Of course, you're gonna do things like add our layouts, and then in our layout, we're gonna do things like add our navigation, right? Of course, some sort of a footer, right? And we're gonna cook up a logo. Yeah, we're gonna cook up a logo. We're gonna cook up a simple logo for that, and yeah. So that would be we set up Remix tomorrow, and then we set up the UI, right? And then we're gonna kind of build our homepage, right? So we have a lot kind of to catch up to do tomorrow. But since we've done most of it, like, because choosing the UI library and then the initial setup and kind of the framework and those are kind of things that take a bit of time. So at least when you're done with that, these will kind of be straightforward, right? Okay. So let me see. Yeah, so I think I'll end here, and then we'll continue tomorrow with that. Let me add a readme, right? Touch readme.md, kind of right here. Oh, there's already a readme. Yeah, but that is from Remix, right? So what we're gonna say is, welcome to, let's leave that, and let's say all social, right? So the all social website. Of course, this is not ready, but then when it is ready, I'm going to put it on this domain, which is going to be all social discoverlands.com, right? I'm going to put it on this domain, so when it's ready, it's going to be easier to kind of just, so when you click on the link, it will just send you there. But of course, it's not ready now. So development, npm run dev. First, if you want to deploy, run dev and run start. DIY using the template, so we can just yeah, we can just forget about this. Yeah, and then we should have getting started. So if you want to get started, right, then let's see, kind of let's see. I think we will do this later on, right? Of course, we'll do something else. We'll do this later on, but let me kind of later. But then we have to. We are going to set up. We are going to do this after. Let's see. Let's add this tomorrow before we do. So we're going to set up the application to work with Docker, right? Set up application to work with Docker. So let's put that for tomorrow. Yeah. And then we will have on, so that'll be the 20th, right? Hopefully 20th/21st. I'll see, but it might be the 21st or the 20th. But then let's see. So then we can build the home page, and then we can add authentication, right? And then 21st/22nd, we can add a page to send new message, right? So that will kind of be the journey. Yeah. So we set up the application to kind of work with Docker, and of course Docker Compose, right? We're going to use Docker Compose, right? So we're going to explain that when we get there. So that should be it. I think, yeah, that should be so. Okay, getting started first. So this bash. So kind of install packages with yarn install. Yeah. And run initial build with yarn build. Yeah, so run yarn build, and then you can get started with yarn dev. Yeah, and let me kind of just preview just to make sure that this looks okay. Well, I think perhaps I don't have the preview. I don't have it here. I don't have open preview. Yeah. Markdown preview should be by default. It should be by default in VS Code. The last time I think I saw, yeah, I do have even one installed here, right? So what is the problem? Why am I not able to kind of preview, right click inside it, markdown, yeah, enhance preview. Yeah, so this will be how it shows, kind of. Bash or sh? Bash. Okay, I think bash is with pound. Comments are with pound. Yeah, not slash slash. Comments are with pound. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So okay. Yeah. So sh bash. I think that's the same name basically. Sh. Yeah. So we can kind of close the preview, and then let's say add this to read me, right? And then we can now do a git push to kind of push the code, right? Then let's check it out. So it should be on GitHub of not Gitpod, github.com/ my username discoverlance.com/ what's all social, of course. So you're able to see the changes now here, of course. So from time to time you can just visit it. It's public and free, so you can be able to check it out at any point in time. So that is all for today. Thank you for joining. Have a nice day.